Well, welcome everybody. I appreciate you coming out on a Monday night to, I'm calling this my back to school night, virtual back to school night 2. We don't usually have back to school night in April, almost May. But kind of thought I would offer this to parents. This is the third and last one. I've done 7th grade, IM1 and 8th grade. And so hopefully I'm an expert by now, but probably not. So we'll see. So again, I just want to encourage you as we go, if questions pop into your head, to type them in the chat. And then at the end, you'll have a chance to ask questions verbally, or again, you could put all your questions in chat. So I just wanted to start by giving you kind of the big picture of things, and then go through kind of a sample lesson so you could kind of get an idea of how things should be working. Is this our 3rd week now of official distance learning? And so hopefully by now it's getting a little more comfortable for you and for your students. But we'll see when it gets to question time. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now and pull up some things for you. All right, so I just wanted to start off with, I made a slideshow, and I'll go through this pretty quickly. By the way, I've made some videos, and if you have watched the videos, some of what I say tonight might be a repeat, and so I apologize for that, but I don't know who has and who hasn't. But I'll try to make sure I don't spend too much time on stuff that I've already posted. So I made this actually right at the beginning when we were getting started, kind of just to wrap my head around how things should work, and how I envision them to work. So I just wanted to share with you, this is kind of the pattern I'm following. So when students are learning at home, one of the things they have to have is they have to have direct instruction. Most students can't just teach themselves. So there's got to be a way for them to learn. So that direct instruction is the first part. We're going to talk more about each of these. I've also tried to throw in some investigations or activities, some games. I did this especially more when we were in that enrichment time, but I'm trying to at least once a week throw something in that's just a little bit different and maybe a little more fun for them to learn that way. And then you have to have some practice when you're doing math. I always tell students that learning math is like a sport. There's a lot of comparisons there, and when you're learning a sport and you want to get better at a sport, you have to practice. It's not just enough to listen to someone teach you and then think you're going to know it. You have to practice. Then there has to be some feedback, and we're going to talk about what that feedback looks like. And then, of course, we have to have some type of assessment to know if students actually know what they need to know, both for me to know and for you to know and for them to know. So let's just look quickly at each of these. First of all, what does direct instruction look like? Well, in a regular classroom setting, direct instruction is them coming to school every day and sitting and listening to their teachers. Obviously, that's not happening. I still am making some videos and teaching that way, but I gotta be honest, I'm trying to use other videos as the primary source first. We have the online textbook videos. I don't know if you've watched any of them. If you haven't, you're really missing out. Dr. Berger, he's kind of a quirky guy. He's a great guy to teach middle schoolers. But he pretty much covers every topic, and so I always throw in those textbook videos. Khan Academy has a lot of good videos that I include as well. And then, like I said, I've been adding videos. Usually those come after the lesson has come out, but as the need comes up and as students ask me, I've been adding my own videos. I'm not really, our weekly Zoom meetings have really been more of a check-in and me kind of catching them up on procedures and stuff like that. When I go to ask questions, anyone need help, I get a lot of crickets. And so that really hasn't panned out as a way for students to get instruction, although I'm certainly willing to do that. And we will continue to have those Zoom meetings every Wednesday. And then of course, tutoring, if it's available, is always a good option. It's always good when kids can get help from parents or friends or other students. Or brothers and sisters is always a great one. Older brothers and sisters, that's always fun. All right, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the investigations. Just Desmos activities is probably the biggest one I've used. I want to dive more into practice. Practice is super important. If they're going to learn math, and I got to say, even in regular schooling, this is probably where students fall most short because they don't like to do work. I mean, most of us don't like to do work. And getting them to do practice is always a challenge. So getting them to do practice at home now is well, that's your job, guys. Now you have to be the enforcer. Aren't you having fun with that? But I'm trying to make sure that there's plenty of practice available. The online textbook, we're going to talk about that soon, has practice. iExcel is a great program that hopefully you've made yourself familiar with. And Khan Academy is not just videos, it has practice built in. I included worksheets when I made this slide, but honestly, I haven't used a single worksheet, and I'm probably not going to. All right, feedback is a big thing. All right, it's great to have instruction, and it's great to have practice, but if you don't get feedback on that practice, I mean, what if you're practicing wrong, you're doing everything wrong? You got to know, you got to get that feedback. The great thing about iExcel, Khan, and the online textbook, and again, I'm going to show you these in detail a little more later, is they all give feedback, and they all give it instantly. The minute you do a problem in iExcel, you know whether you got it right or wrong. The minute, if you're using the personal math trainer in the online textbook, you can know if you got it right or wrong. So not only are they getting that practice, they're getting the feedback right away, which, to be honest, in a regular school setting, oftentimes doesn't happen. I'll give students a homework assignment, and they'll do the problems on a good day, and I put the answers for them to check them. They often don't. They often don't get the feedback till they come back to school the next day and when we go over it in class. Now they immediately know whether they're getting it right or wrong. And not only that, but each one of these also shows them how to get it right. So it doesn't just tell them that they got it wrong. If they choose the option, they can see how to get it right as well. So the feedback part is key, and it's there, and it's probably better now than even it was when we were going to regular school. Like I said, no worksheets there. So when they do the assessments, when we do those, the skill quizzes that I'm giving them, they're also getting immediate feedback. They immediately know what their score is. And then I'm also trying to give them feedback if they email me. In Google Classroom, if they leave comments, I try to get back that way. And again, Zoom meetings are an option for them to get feedback. And finally, the last piece, assessment. All right, there's two types of assessment we talk about as teachers. We talk about formative assessment and summative assessment. So formative assessment is when we have a quiz or some other kind of assessment in the process of learning. So that's what those skill quizzes are. I do one, well, actually I do two. I do one and then a retake after every single lesson. So in the past, sometimes I've been guilty of doing, it'd be 5, 6, 7, even a lot of lessons before they get feedback. I think everything's going great, and I give them a quiz and they'd all bomb it. So that's what inspired me to start doing these skill quizzes. I even do them during the regular year so they can get feedback, I can know, and they can know in shorter, quicker pieces. And that's also why I always do 2 of them, because the idea is even if they've done the practice, even if they've gotten that feedback, maybe there's a question or 2 on these skill quizzes that throws them for a loop. They can see what they did wrong, hopefully, and then fix it on the retake. So that's how formative works. It's designed to fix the problems as we're going. Summative at the end is the idea of, okay, we've had that practice, we've had that feedback, we've done some formative skills quizzes. Now's the time to see, do you know it or do you not know it? So that's when we have the bigger quizzes or we have the tests. Ideally, those are one-time things. I'll be honest with you, sometimes even you get to that point and kids bomb and you have to reassess and do retakes and things like that. But hopefully by the time we get there, it's a much smaller group that maybe needs some follow-up. So that kind of, again, just gives you the big picture of what I'm working with. Direct instruction, investigations thrown in every now and then, practice, feedback, and assessment. So that's the plan. So how does it all work? All right, so first off, a couple things. I wanted to let you know that I do have a page on the school website that I've actually updated with some information there. So if you're looking for something or I refer to something tonight, that page is there. I've been putting it sometimes below my signature on the emails, but if you just go to the Carnegie site and then you search for Mr. Reeves, you can find it. I've got something there for each class. So for 8th grade math, one of the things, if you want to know what the students are going to be learning during this time, for example, I put in all the units for the different things we're studying. Right now, we're knee deep in systems of equations. After that, we're going to be doing something I think they'll probably like a little more, geometric transformations. I think these are fun and students tend to like them more. And then if we get there, and I'm not sure we will, then we're going to finish up the year with parallel lines and some stuff with triangles. So if you're dying to know what we're learning, where we are, where we're going next, that gives you more of the big picture, where Google Classroom is just a day-by-day thing. Grades and grading, I also talk about my grading policy there. I know you're all aware by now, the credit, no credit. For Math 8, different teachers have set different things. I'm setting it at 65%. If they can earn 65%, and I'm only grading assessments, so I'm only looking at those formative and those summative assessments, if they can get that 65%, then we're going to go ahead and put that check mark by the credit. If they can't, then they're going to be getting no credit for the quarter. So hopefully you're watching throughout the quarter as I'm putting grades in queue, and if you're noticing they're stuck in that no credit, we got to figure out a way to get that taken care of before we get to June. All right, so I just want to bring your attention there. At the very bottom, it says Math with Mr. Reeves videos. I'm still working on trying to get these videos to work. You saw those spinning things, that's what I'm getting. But right here, I do have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to pull that up right now because you all need stuff to watch online, right? Who needs Netflix when you got Mr. Reeves YouTube? But I did want to let you know that I am making videos for students, and I've created playlists. One of the playlists is for parents and students. So if you're looking for some more information, or you go, I thought I heard Mr. Reeves say this, go ahead and pull up that playlist, and I've made a video for just about everything I've said tonight, if not all of it. Also, I've made playlists for each grade level. So for example, your students are in Math 8. I only have 3 currently. I've done a lot more Math 7 ones, but this is where they're gonna find the videos on instruction. Uh-oh, it's gonna start playing. So for example, this one was solving problems using systems of equations by graphing. So as I see the need, I'm making those videos there. There'll be a lot more as we go on. But again, I'm trying to use primarily the textbook videos and the Khan Academy videos for the primary teaching. And my videos are more follow-up when I see issues that are arising with those. Okay, so if you have time to check those out, that'd be a great thing to do. All right, so let's actually dive in now and take a look at a lesson, because this is what happens every day or every couple days, depending. What do students see? What can you see? And again, I just want to encourage you, the fact that you guys are here probably means you're on the ball. And I'm assuming you're already logging into your Student Google Classroom to see what's going on. If there's any chance you're not, you need to be in their Google Classroom. You need to see what they're seeing, know how to get into their iExcel account, know how to get into their Khan Academy account. If you need any help with any of that, I've made videos for all of it, but still I'm happy to help you in person too. So I'm just gonna pull up period 5 because period 5 and period 6 are both the same class. So let's just go ahead and let's look at a given day. So by the way, the stream when you're in Google Classroom, that's everything in the order it's been posted. So this is the latest thing I did. I posted a skill quiz solving linear systems by substitution. I did that at 1:36 p.m. today. So you could see when I posted things. Classwork is organized by, well, how I want it organized. So at the top, I've got some help videos, although I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be moving these down soon because these are the more of the setup kind of videos. These aren't actually the help with the content videos. And hopefully by now, we're getting into the 3rd week, people are past this, but that was there for students and parents to get that help when they need it. All right, and then there's 2 things you need to be looking at right now. DL stands for distance learning. So the distance learning unit is systems of equations. This is what I showed you over on my webpage, the first unit. So the newest work is always at the top, down to the oldest work at the bottom. And then below that, we have distance learning assessments. And you could see these are all the skill quizzes that we've had so far in our distance learning. For every lesson, there's an original and a retake, original, retake, original, retake. So they will always have 2 chances. Sometimes it takes me a little time to get the retake up, but to be honest with you, it's kind of better because I've had students take them back to back. I've been teaching 26 years, and I'm still blown away. A student will take a skill quiz, get a 2 out of 10, and immediately take it again and get another 2 out of 10, and they somehow thought the second time was going to be better. I always tell them hope is not a good math strategy. They hope for the best. So the idea is when they take the original skill quiz, they learn from their mistakes, and if they need help, that they ask for help, and then they take the retake. When I put these scores in Q, only one score will be there. There's a column for every single one of these. Well, not yet, but there will be. So one of these 2 scores will always be empty. It will only say missing if it's the first one. They don't have to do the retake, and if they don't have a score for the retake, it's not a problem. If they do the retake and do better, then I take away the score on the original one. And Q shows it as red, and I have no control over that, but please know that does not lower their grade. The only thing that's going to lower their grade is if they, sorry, I got to let somebody in here. The only thing that's going to lower their grade is if they have a 0. And I always will put assignment missing, but that'll only happen on the original one. If you have any questions about that, make sure you ask me. But those are the skill quizzes. They're under DL assessments. And right here, DL unit, that's the assignment. So let me go ahead and pull up today's. This is today's, due tomorrow. So when you pull up a lesson or your students pull up a lesson on Google Classroom, I always put some instructions here, some kind of description, so I'm not gonna read it to you, but you can read what it says. It tells you if we're working out of a textbook lesson, it says what the textbook lesson is, and then it gives key problems. Now I wanna clarify, this is not like the old days where when we were working out of the textbook, I would assign certain problems and say, these are the ones I want you to do. I'm not assigning mandatory problems. I'm telling them these are the types of problems that you need to know how to do. And if you practice them in IXL or you practice them in Khan Academy, you may not need to practice them in the textbook. Or maybe you decide to do all your practice in the textbook. There's a lot of freedom there. But you need to make sure that you know how to, well, in this case, I'm speaking to your students. You need to know how to do all these problems on 1 through 7 and make sure you're getting lots of practice with them. And then make sure you can do problems like number 8 and problems like number 10. So I'll say what goes in the textbook, what the key problems are. If there's any other notes, for example, for today, we're doing the first part of this lesson on elimination, and IXL only had 1 lesson on it. So unfortunately, I couldn't give 2 different IXL lessons, so I just left them a note saying, for the IXL practice, just do the first part. But don't worry about the next one because they haven't learned about it. So I give them the instructions, and then I always start off with, this follows the pattern that I gave, with direct instruction. So it's going to start off with videos. So I have here a Khan Academy video, and then I have a couple of the textbook videos. Hopefully by now, I know the students all went crazy at the beginning. They couldn't get into the videos because you have to be logged into your account, but I'm pretty sure they've worked through those. So I put the videos, and then I put the practice. So, and again, I'll show you a little bit more about Khan Academy and IXL. But it goes videos, and then it goes practice. And then, of course, the textbook numbers are practiced there. So what does that actually look like? So let's take a look real quick at the textbook. I worked really hard, well, not really hard. I tried during the school year to get the students to use the online textbook as opposed to just the paper textbook. I was not successful. I hope more students are using the online textbook now. So let me show you real quick. When they log into their account, they don't see all these red ones because these are teacher ones, but they see these yellow ones, and there's an interactive student edition, there's a student online edition, and there's student edition and resources. And again, I made a video on best use of the online textbook. So if you want more details on that, go ahead and watch that. But let me just go ahead and pull up the student online edition. In fact, I already have it here. All right, so this is an example of a page out of the textbook, and it looks just like their paper textbook. You wouldn't know any different, all right, except these links are live. So again, just real quick, I didn't emphasize it. This right here is the student online edition that I'm showing you. So the great thing about the online textbook, one, the videos are right here. If a student just went straight to the lesson and ignored everything I did in Google Classroom, they could actually work their way through the lesson. They could pick the videos right there. I give them the links, but they don't have to have the links. It's right there. And then there's examples. And then there's this thing right here called the Personal Math Trainer. So let me show you what I was talking about when I said how using the online textbook you can get that feedback. So with the examples, what it does is it works through it, and then it's actually interactive. So for example, this is telling them to solve it by adding. We add those together. What's 5 plus -1? I put in 4. I get the check, and then it takes me to the next step. 4 divided by 2, I put in 2. So with the examples, it actually has them work through the examples live instead of just reading it. And the great thing is if when all is said and done, they can try another one and it creates a whole new example. They can view the example. If they're having a hard time knowing, they can just look at the whole thing filled in. And it goes through the different examples in an interactive way. So they can learn that way. They could also get, I was telling you about the practice. So I'm going to skip over to the actual practice part of the lesson, which I think is one more page over, sorry. All right, so that when I talk about the numbers, did I skip past it? Sorry, I'm moving you guys all back and forth around my screen while I'm trying to see through this as well. Oops, let me get back to, all right, let me just show you right here. Okay, so here's an example of a problem that they could solve on paper. So they could do it the old-fashioned way and just solve it that way. But if instead they use the personal math trainer and pull it up, it will give them a problem that's very similar to that. In fact, sometimes it's the exact same problem, and it just asks them for the solution. So they can work it out on paper and pencil and put the answer in that way, or they can go back like with the example and work through it step by step. So if they know how to do it, they just do it and check their answer. If they don't know how to do it, they can try step by step. And if even they can't do that, they can always go to view example. It will show them everything. Then they come down here and they try another. So the interactive textbook, it is so much more powerful than just the paper textbook. So I'm strongly encouraging students to make that an integral part of their learning. So that's the online textbook. Let's skip over to Khan Academy. So Khan Academy, I remember when Khan Academy first started, it was just videos. And there's still a lot of videos, but Khan Academy is a lot more now than just videos. So if you go into Khan Academy, and I'm going to go ahead and go to the elimination method, which is what we're working on right now. You see all these, you guys recognize these as the play sign, right? All of those are videos. So I don't, by the way, a question that's come up and been asked by lots of parents and students, do they have to click on every link and do everything? And the answer is no. I'm flooding them with information so they can learn the best way possible. I have some students who love Khan Academy, and I have some students who hate Khan Academy. So the students who love it, they're gonna gravitate towards learning from Khan Academy. The students who don't are gonna maybe gravitate towards learning from the textbook or IXL. But I just wanna let you know those resources are there. I always try to make sure there's a good selection of videos based on what our topic is. And then, so if you're investigating Khan Academy, all those are videos. Then right here, this is actually one of my favorite things of Khan Academy. It's not the videos, although those are great. I call them interactive notes. So it's like notes. If the teacher was giving notes or they were reading it in a textbook, it does an example, very clearly works through the problem. And then at the bottom or later on, sometimes in the middle, then it gives them a problem to do based on what they just learned. So they can read about how to do it. They can take notes or just read the notes that are there. Then they can do the problem. And again, I'm just going to make up numbers right here. I'm totally trying to get this wrong on purpose. And then I'm going to hit check. And it tells me, no, I got it wrong. All right. So then want more practice? See these. But if I click right here, explain, you'll notice, what does it do? It works through that exact problem. Remember when I was telling you earlier, every time they do a problem, whether they're in the textbook, whether they're in Khan, or whether they're in IXL, they always have the opportunity to do two things: to check their answer, and if they get it wrong, to see how to do it right. To me, that is so powerful. If students really want to learn, right now they have everything at their fingertips they need to learn. So you have the videos, you have those guided notes with practice built in, and then you have these things over here called practice. And these are these are like what we were just doing. They're usually 4, sometimes 6 problems, same kind of thing. They solve the problem, they put their answer in, it tells them, all right, what is the result of adding these two equations? X plus y equals 10. Again, I'm just making something up here. I'm gonna check it. Whoops. I'm going to check it. It's going to tell me, oh, I didn't get it right, and we can go from there. When you do get it right, it gives you this nice, great job, and you go to the next question. And by the way, all these scores are kept track of if they're logging into Khan Academy. So if you want to know not only what they're doing, if you want to know, are they watching the videos, are they doing the practice, I could also tell you, and you can actually log in and see what their scores are. So Khan Academy textbook was the first way I showed you for learning. Khan Academy is the second. Let's finish up with IXL, and then it'll be time for your questions. So IXL is a program that normally costs money, and we're really blessed that they were nice enough to offer us a free account. Normally they have a 30-day account. They gave us enough so we can get to the end of the school year. So I just love IXL. I emailed a parent, and they were asking me kind of to tell them what the purpose of IXL is, and I said, it's kind of like when you're in basketball and you're shooting free throws. You stand at the free throw line. It's not that you don't know how to shoot a free throw, but you shoot free throw after free throw after free throw. Yeah, I can't say that 10 times really fast. You keep shooting those free throws until you don't have to think about it anymore, right? You get it down. That's kind of how IXL works. To me, it's the one to do at the end to solidify that understanding. So when you get into IXL, and this looks the same if you're looking at your student's account, and this is my teacher account, there's 3 tabs up at the top. There's learning, there's diagnostic, and there's analytics. So learning is where we're actually going to get the practice. Diagnostic was something those of you parents have been on since day one when we were doing the enrichment and review. That's what I was pushing really hard. The diagnostic allows you as parents and the students to know where your student is. By the way, that diagnostic can still be used. If your student has some extra time, anytime they say they're sitting there and they say, I don't have any math to do, I did it all, and you want them to get some practice, say, hey, I want you to go into IXL and work some more on the diagnostic. The diagnostic gets updated as they do practice. They can go back in and they can improve their score. If you have any more questions about the diagnostic, you can ask. I'm not really pushing it right now because they've got all that other stuff going, but that is something they can continue to go on to. And then IXL uses that to make recommendations. So under learning, real quick, let me show you recommendations. And there's 2 things that you'll see and your students see when they click on that tab. I'm so glad the internet is working. They will see something right here that says recommendations, and it will have the IXL recommendations. So everything down here, this is what IXL is saying you should do. All right, in fact, when you see this, you'll see this is for Aaron. I don't know if Aaron's parents are here tonight. Right here, they're saying, hey, why don't you go back to the diagnostic arena because you're at a point now where it would be helpful to get some more information. So anything you see below that line is what IXL is recommending. And then you see right here, 10 skills suggested by your teacher. So anytime you see a yellow star, that is something that I have recommended. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull on that or click on that, and you can see these are all the things that I have recommended. And by the way, this is since distance learning started. I had a whole bunch of stuff I put in when we first left school. I deleted all of that so that you would know and your students would know this is the thing. Only these starred ones are the ones that I've said since we have gotten out of school. So the last one, this is the one for today I want to show you, solving a system of equations using elimination. So this is the link they got today. So I'm going to click on it. So when they get into IXL, it gives them a problem. This looks just like the textbook problem. This looks just like the Khan Academy problem. All right. The difference is IXL is going to give them a whole bunch of the problems, and when they get a score, when they put in an answer and they get it right, it's going to update their score. So I have the ability, students can't do this, to click to. But real quick, by the way, learn with an example is there at the beginning of every skill. Again, they can see an example there. And if they get it wrong, let me go back. Whoops, can I go back to where it was? Oh, okay, well, we're way back. Let's do this again. All right. And again, if they get the answer wrong, again, I'm purposely going to get this wrong. Don't hold it against me. All right. It tells them, oh, you got it wrong. Here's the correct answer, and this is how to get it. So every single method does that. When you say got it, it gives you another problem and you get to try again. Now I want you to see that I'm jumping, and right here, this score, this SMART score, I've sent this information out, but if you somehow missed it, the score you're going for to show proficiency is 80. They do not have to get 100. This is not a percentage score. This doesn't mean they got 50% right. This means they have 50 points out of 80, and once they get to 80, we're saying, okay, you've reached proficiency. 100 is mastery. So, and the reason why I said, by the way, for today's lesson to stop at 50 was because then it started to get into the questions that were more difficult. But for any given skill, you want them to get that score of 80. And if you're going, well, how am I going to know if they've gotten that score? So we have the learning tab, we have the diagnostic tab, and over here we have the analytics tab. And you can go in and your students can go in, and again, this is the teacher view. So you're seeing what I see as the teacher. But I can see and you can see data. I'm seeing it on all my students. So you could see for this week, this is what happened. So we've got a couple superstars here. Look at Elliot, man. And we got Logan Brown, 7th grader, Cameron. All right, Jack. So these are the students who have really done a lot. Hey, Landon, a call out to Landon. Summer, good job. And then you could see there's a whole lot of students who haven't done anything on IXL this week. Now again, IXL is not mandatory. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if they haven't done any, but IXL is a great way to finish out at the end and just to show that you have that skill. All right. All right, so I know I went through that pretty quickly, but again, I've made videos. If you go to that help section or you go to my YouTube channel, everything I showed you pretty much there is there. And if you want more information, because I know you're dying to get more information, you could watch the videos or you can email me with any questions that you have. All right, so I am not seeing anything in the chat. Wow, you guys are a quiet group. Did anyone have any questions? You can speak verbally now. Just unmute yourself if you wanted to ask a question. Just
Can you hear me?
I can. Hi.
I'm Megan's mom.
Hi.
Megan tells me, oh, I just do the tests and I don't need to do all those. I pass the test, so what do I make of that? Just let her take tests and...
Have you looked at her scores?
No.
Okay, so that's where I would start. If she's getting a 10 out of 10 on everything, then I'd say, Megan, you're amazing. I can tell you right now, she's not getting a 10 out of 10. I don't even have to check Q. So if I were a parent, that's what I would say. You get a 10 on everything, you can skip the work. Anything short of a 10, get to work, girl. That's what I would say. Then if she thinks she knows everything, she should be getting a 10 the first time. So short of that, I would say, look, no, I want to see you doing the practice. And maybe when you start getting an 8 the first time, every single time we'll talk. But no, she's not going to be getting a 10 out of 10. I can't parent your children. Thank you so much for doing that. I have my own 4 girls that I have parented and continue. They're all home now from college. It's so much fun. I know the struggles of parenting. I know what it's like, and I also know the struggles of teaching. So the standards that you set as a parent are yours, but the idea is they need to be getting some practice, and those assessments are designed to show what they know. And short of perfection, they're gonna need some practice. So you could tell her, Mr. Reeves said, until you're getting a 10 out of 10, he wants to see some practice from you. And again, I would encourage you to go in, ask her which way do you like best? Show me, are you working out of the textbook? Are you working out of Khan? Are you working out of IXL? Ask her to see what she's done, and then say, okay, let's see your scores afterwards. And again, when you start getting really good scores every time, we'll talk. But I really think even if she were getting good scores, that practice is necessary, because she's going to be going to high school next year, and a lot of what we're doing, she's going to be seeing again. So I hope that helps. And if you need any help on knowing how to check up, there's a way for you to check up in IXL. I don't have a way of checking up on the textbook right now, other than if you as a parent said, I want you to do this on paper and pencil. I want to see what you're doing. I want you to write it down. They were supposed to take their textbook home with them, a lot didn't, but they don't have to. They could just work on paper and pencil what's off the screen. IXL is a really great way because if she could show that she got 80s on all those IXL skills, then she's showing that she's proficient. So I would say at a minimum, say, Megan, I want to see 80s on all those IXLs. And if you don't know, again, I'll show you how you can check because I can guarantee, well, I can almost guarantee you she doesn't have those either. So,
oh,
well, she told you she's not doing it, right? Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a video on there how to get onto IXL?
I do. You have to log in through her account. If you email me, just email me and I'll give you the password. But if you want to know more details about how it works, you can watch one of the videos. All right, so I got a question in chat about how can I check her quiz scores before I put them in the portal. So everything shows up in Google Classroom. So let me go ahead and pull up Google Classroom again. So I'm going to share my screen here. So when I am in Google Classroom and there are these skill quizzes, so it looks different from a teacher perspective than from a student perspective. But I'm going to go ahead here and click on one of these to give you an idea of how it works. So when I pull this up, gosh, I wish I could show you from a student perspective better. So when a student takes a skill quiz, you could see right here, this is for 5th and 6th period. These are students, Mariah, Logan, and Jonah. By the way, don't worry about late. When it says late, all of the deadlines right now are soft deadlines. I'm giving deadlines because if I didn't give deadlines, students would say nothing's due and they would never do anything, right? But if students get a day or two behind, it's not the end of the world. If they're falling, a week or two behind, then we should start to get concerned. But don't worry about late. But you could see right here, these are students who have taken it. When it says missing, now I sent out an email, if you read my email this morning, missing in Google Classroom is normally not something to be worried about. Every time I put an assignment in, it's gonna say missing unless students submit it. I don't collect any of that work except skill quizzes, but these are the exception. So all of these students that say missing, these are students who have not done this skill quiz. And this is not a retake. So this is, oh, it is a retake, I apologize. So if it's a retake, then we don't have to worry about it, it's not mandatory. But once I return these scores, when you go into Google Classroom and you go to those assignments and you click on it, if they have done it and I've returned it, you will see their score. Also, they know their score when they get it back, and I'm pretty sure before I return it, you could see the scores. So if I were you, go ahead, again, go into the classwork part. And I'm really sorry, I don't have a student perspective on here. But I know that when you go to those skill quizzes, just go ahead and start clicking on their skill quizzes. And these older ones, it should pop up the entire skill quiz right away with their score. And the newer ones, I think you could see the score even if I haven't returned it. So that's how you should be able to see the score if they've done it. And again, if it says missing, you'll know that they haven't taken that skill quiz. But again, don't worry about it. I don't want to show everyone's grades. I could do it. If I clicked on grades, it's going to show all the names and all the grades, and I don't want to do that. But again, if you have any questions, you can email me, and I could tell you what their scores are, even if it's not in queue yet. Just send an email and say, hey, are they caught up on their skill quizzes? I was just wondering, and I'll be happy to let you know. So I'm pretty much on email unless I'm sleeping. My phone dings every time I get an email. So I'm happy and to answer your questions, and I will get back to you just as soon as I can, which is usually pretty quick. So I'm actually a lot better at email now than, well, obviously I better be, huh? I don't have the excuse of being locked up in a classroom. So, all right, other questions? No? Oh, we got a chat one. Here we go. Oh. Thank you. It was just a note of thanks from somebody. Kai's mom, thank you. Yeah, I am really working hard because I know how hard you guys are working. The fact that you guys are here tonight says a lot about you as parents and that you've taken time to be here and you're working with your kids. So I mean, I'm making it my mission to do everything I can. If there's anything more your students need help with, sometimes even with all the videos and everything I showed you, sometimes they just need some individual help. So they can email me. I've done not very many, but I've done a few Zoom tutoring sessions. That's always an option. So encourage them if they say, I can't do it, it's too hard, I've tried everything. If you legitimately believe they've tried everything and they still can't get it, say, email Mr. Reeves, he said he would help you. If they say he won't help me, well, they're not telling the truth because I may not be able to do it immediately that second, but I'm happy to help. That's the most fun part of teaching is one-on-one teaching. All right, so, oh, thank you. Chloe's mom, appreciate it. By the way, all those nice words, I appreciate different people have sent nice emails at different times. That is very encouraging and it makes me want to work that much harder. So I really do appreciate your kind words. And I really do respect what you're having to do because it's not easy. Your middle school is, I've been teaching middle school for 26 years. So I know how hard it is to try to motivate students. And as a parent, now you're trying to be a parent and a teacher at the same time. And your students aren't used to you being the teacher. And so like, I know you're probably getting pushback. So, all right. Another, oh, Maddie's mom, thank you. All right. You guys are making my head explode. So, all right. If there are no further questions, again, email anything. Nothing's too small to ask for help on. Even if you think, oh, I should know this, don't hesitate to ask. That's why I'm here, okay? And if your students are giving you something that doesn't sound right, again, tell them, I want you to email Mr. Reeves right now and ask him that. And then I'll email them back and yell at them for telling you something they know is not true. All right, I won't yell at them. But. All right, well, thank you so much, you guys. Again, if there's anything you forgot, have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Oh, that looks weird. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.